Party people, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Today is day 3 of Stamp Week, and for today we are focusing on numbers. And my favorite way to use number stamps in my scrapbooking, or to use numbers in general, is to make a list. Outside of December Daily, because you guys know December Daily is my happy place and there are numbers all over the pages. But outside of December Daily, my favorite way to use numbers is to make a list. So I have pulled out this huge photo of myself and a few of my friends at my pinning ceremony. I'm still working on documenting pinning. I have not made very many layouts. And I die cut a few of these tags. This is the scrapbook.com nested wafer thin metal die set in the tags. The largest tag is 8 inches. This small tag is about 2 inches. So I die cut 12 of those tags. And my plan is to do kind of a swivelly thing along the bottom of my page. I have a rainbow of inks out. I have this distress ink out because I don't have the navy ink from Ali Edwards, which I will be fixing ASAP. And I have the Celebrate stamp because we're talking about celebrations. But the star of the show is the number. This stamp set is from Carrie Bradford, but it's really similar to a stamp set Ali did for December Daily. I know I've seen a few people use it. I know I've seen the creative team use it. It's very similar to that. Like, that font is pretty similar to that. By the time I decided I wanted it, it was sold out. So when Carrie Bradford offered something similar, I jumped at the chance for it. So I am pulling out my Misty because when it comes to stamping huge dark shapes like this, I find that sometimes you have to stamp more than once. So a Misty is going to, like a tool like the Misty, I know Tim Holtz has one, We Are Memory Keepers has one, but a tool, my magnets are stuck together, which is, there we go. A tool like the Misty would come in really handy for something like this. So in advance, I cut out a few 3x3 squares of white cardstock, and that is what I'm going to do my stamping. My magnets are just being terribly rude today. That is what I'm going to stamp on. So I'm going to stamp the numbers 1 through 6, but I told you guys on day 1 that there was a stamp pad that I really recommended that I couldn't find. I found it. So this is called the Sizzix Stamper's Secret Weapon. The Sizzix Stamper's Secret Weapon. I'll be sure to link it in the description box, and I'm going to use it later in this page. It is my favorite thing for getting a really good impression on your stamps. Mine had jump ship and I couldn't find it, which is why you guys haven't seen it. But I finally found it. Like, I was like, I have to find it for Stamp Week so we can talk about it because it's such a good tool. So as always, I'm going to prime my stamps on the back of my hand before I put it in my Misty. I'm just looking for an acrylic block to put it on. And we are going to stamp the numbers 1 through 6. And then I'm going to disappear to fussy cut those out because you don't need to watch me do that. And I would probably cry while I'm doing it because I hate fussy cutting. But we're doing it for the sake of the project and because I have a vision. But I really don't like fussy cutting at all. So I'm going to start with Rose Garden. And the stamping for this video we're going to do in real time. And the rest of this I can kind of edit down. But because the video is about stamping, we're going to talk about, like, we'll see how long it takes me to get a good impression. So let's see. So this is our first try, and that was pretty perfect, honestly. I might go in one more time just to see if I can get it. Like, it's a little skipping. It's skipping in a, oh, you guys cannot see that at all. Okay. My camera's a little bit zoomed in today. I'm not used to it being, so I gotta remember to put my stuff up. But here we go. So that is 2 times, two stamps. And that's pretty perfect, actually. I'm kind of really excited about that. Someone had asked me on a previous video if I clean my stamps. I do. I don't do it on camera because it's boring. But what I do is I have a baby wipe and a stamp chamois. So I take off, I do 2 things. First, I stamp off the extra ink. And then I go in with the baby wipe and I clean the stamp. And then I do one final clean with my stamp chamois, and then I put it back in its package. And I don't know if this is true or not, but Everyone who knows anything about stamping says that cleaning your stamps extends the longevity of your stamp, and I'm not going to argue with the people who know what they're doing, so I always clean my stamps. I don't like cleaning my stamps. I just do it because if you're investing, like stamps are an investment, and if you invest in them and you take care of them, they're going to last a really long time. So I try to do my best to take care of them. But I will link the stamp chamois in the description box. You can get them on Amazon or scrapbook.com. Also, I've heard that if you use the car chamois that you can get at like the dollar store, those do the same thing. Okay, so now we're using Pendleton, which is a really nice red. Let's see, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll only have to do this one once. Yep, that was okay, so here is the joy and the delight of the Misty, because we are getting pretty much perfect stamping the first time around. I'm just gonna quickly clean this one because it's still on my door, and we will keep going. All right, so I'm gonna quickly wipe that off. I will give it a nice clean after the video is over. But like, can we talk about how perfect that stamp impression was the first time around? I'm kind of obsessed with that. So I did a lot of prep work before, not a lot, I did like a little bit of prep work. I cut some paper. I said I did a lot of prep work. All I did was cut some paper. But I did do a few things before we started just to kind of expedite this process so you guys aren't watching me like fumble forever. So like I said, the stamping we're going to kind of leave in real time just so you guys can appreciate how long it is or how not long it is when you want to do a project like this. The hardest part of this video, I'm telling you up front, is going to be fussy cutting. Look at that. That's one stamp, and I'm happy with that. I despise fussy cutting. I was actually talking to my husband about this the other day because I was fighting with my die cut machine, and I was just like, why do people enjoy doing this? Like, why do people die cut for hours and create these really intricate things? I wanted to just give up on life. Like, I was just over it. And I feel the same way about fussy cutting. I've talked to a few of my friends and they're like, yeah, I just hang out in front of the TV and I fussy cut for hours and it's great. And I'm like, I would literally rather claw my eyeballs out than do that. Well, that's a bit excessive. I probably wouldn't, but you get what I mean. So yeah, so I'm gonna have to put some headphones on to fussy cut these shapes out because it's gonna take me a bit, but I will be back after that. So I'm priming every stamp before I put it down on my little square. We prime the stamp, we put it on the square, we swing the door of the Misty, we ink it up. And so this is Honeyman, this is the yellow. And I'm really sad that I don't have any of Allie's blues. I don't know how I did that. So there we go. So I'm getting like pretty much perfect impressions the first time with these inks, but Allie's inks are really good. Oh, another question. So someone was talking about like detailed stamping. I gotta tell you, my favorite ink for any kind of detail work will always be VersaFine. I am a diehard VersaFine girl. If I'm doing any sort of detail stamping, like tiny phrases or images that have a lot of like detail or really crisp lines, I'm gonna go for VersaFine if I can. If it's not something that, you know, there's water on the background, because if I'm gonna put water on the background, you cannot use VersaFine. You have to use like Stays On or some sort of like archival ink. But VersaFine is gonna be my go-to if I'm doing any sort of detail work. I have not really experimented with Allie's inks for details. Just because I just haven't. Not that like it just has not come up on something that I've made. Also, I'm a creature of habit, so if I know VersaFine works, I tend to just go for what I know works. So maybe I'll do that at the end of stamp week. We'll do some experimentation. Oh, Olympia is so pretty. Green's my favorite color, you guys, if you didn't know that. So I'm very much enthused about that 5. So yeah, maybe at the end of stamp week, because day 5, according to Allie's schedule, is like mixed media and art journaling, and I kind of already did that on day 2. So maybe at the end of stamp week, we will do some like ink comparisons and some ink swatches and kind of experiment and see, you know, how far your inks can go. Because Friday is also Story Kit Crush Day for me, so I'm totally going to be doing that, but there was green ink on my hands and it's now on that paper. So I'm just going to flip that over so it's not ugly. And I did it again. There's green ink now on both sides. All right, we'll see how that happens. So what was I saying? So the reason I'm doing a rainbow also is because the Celebrate Story Kit has a lot of color in it. And rainbow is my love language, unless you're new here. If you're not new here, you already knew this, but rainbow is my love language. So any excuse I get to make a rainbow on a page is a good excuse. Also, we're wearing white in that picture, so there's like no competing colors. The background is kind of yellow, but that's not something I could have like avoided. But we're wearing white in the picture, so I have like a full color palette, and the Celebrate Story Kit is pretty much a rainbow kit. So I figured it'd be pretty okay to play with rainbow. Now, see, here's stamping with the Distress Oxides. You do not get like as good an impression the first time as you do with Allie's inks. That could have just been the way I was applying the ink, because I alternate between like a tapping motion and kind of a press down and a squishing motion. And see, it's still not perfect. I think one more time might be what we need to get it done. So you can stamp with Distress Oxides, but they're just a different medium. There we go. They're just a different medium, so they might take a little bit more work than like the Crafters inks or like the Altenew inks or the Pink Fresh inks. But you see, it is perfectly possible. This is definitely where a tool like having the Misty comes into, will come in play, I guess, because being able to stamp more than once is really, really crucial. All right, so I'm gonna put away my stamps. I'm going to fussy cut out these numbers, and then we're gonna work on building the page. All right, scrappy friends, welcome back. So, well, I guess I could be welcoming myself back because I was one who disappeared, but I did a few things off camera just for the sake of moving the video along. I cut out my numbers, which actually came out pretty good, I gotta say, with my terrible fussy cutting skills. I also did some stamping on my tags. So I used this star stamp and the St. Helens Crafters ink. It's this fun khaki colored, and I just put some stars. So this is what my tags are gonna look like. And then I just went ahead and did my journaling. Again, just for the sake of moving the video along. And then I just realized that I don't have any brads. I don't know where my brads are. I thought I had everything on my desk that I needed. I don't have my brads, never mind. I did have them, they're right here. So actually, I didn't do everything I needed to do because I probably could have done this in advance. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and punch these holes, put my brads together, and then I'll come back for real and we'll finish up this page. Okay, so I'm back. So I have gone ahead and punched all of my holes, and I just remembered why I didn't actually attach my my tags is because I want to do one more little bit of stamping on the top tag before I assemble it, and it'll be easier to do it without the brads in. So when I did my journaling, I started all my journaling with the prompt "currently celebrating." Especially when I'm making a list, I find it really easy to make my list if I have a prompt. And currently celebrating just felt like a good one. So I want to see if I can fit currently celebrating on each of these tags, and then my number will kind of hang off. So let's see. Okay, I probably can't fit the whole thing because I don't want my number to hang off that much. So maybe I'll just go with celebrating instead of currently celebrating, which will do. Okay, that'll give me exactly what I want without the currently. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and stamp. And I kind of wanted to show you the Sizzix Stamp Companion. These stamps on these tags are all first time stamps. I did not have to do, I'm just getting some ink. I did not have to like do a bunch of work to get this. Oh, I think my ink is broken. Okay. So I'm not going to use this one. Something happened to my black ink. I'm not sure what, but it looks like it's missing half the pad. So I'm going to switch inks. We're going to use this one instead. All right, so I'm just going to switch inks really quickly. I'm not sure what happened to my ink pad, but whatever, we'll reevaluate later. But what I was saying is this is like the first time. I did not stamp it more than once. That was just the first time. This Stamper's secret weapon, I gotta figure out exactly what this thing is called. I'll look on Amazon later. but this Stamper's Secret Weapon thing is like top notch, you guys. It's easily my favorite thing for stamping besides my Misty. I've had this for a really long time. It is pretty thick. It's also a paper piercer, so if you ever want to do any sort of like putting holes in things, this is also a paper piercer. But I've had this thing in my stash for like ever, and it comes in super handy. They make a smaller one. I think the smaller one is like 6 by 6 and this one is 12 by 10, but I like having a pretty solid, like a pretty large surface to work on, so I don't mind the large one. I don't think it takes up so much of my desk that I would want a smaller one, but that's just something worth noting, that if this one feels too large for you, there is a smaller option. But you guys see, I'm just getting really good stamps the first time around. And I'm doing the same thing I talked about in my first video. When I put the stamp down, I kind of rock it a little bit back and forth before I lift it up. And I think that between that, the Stamper's Companion, and this, I get really good impressions. Also, like I said, and like I've used before, if you have the Misty, there is a little foam pad in the bottom of the Misty that you can take out. That also works really well as a stamp pad. But this was like super cheap on Amazon. When I looked yesterday, I think it was like $10. So if you're interested in, like, if you're serious about getting your stamping to be, I don't want to say to be better, because I don't like words like better or like more, I don't know, more accurate, I think is a better word. Or if you're just looking for like crisper stamp images, I would highly recommend investing in a stamp pad like this. Especially if you're new to stamping and you're like, well, why don't my stamp images look as good as someone else's? For the record, a lot of people that I see that do great stamping work, they do use a Misty or like a stamping tool, which does have a platform in it. But this is it's not like super expensive. Your money goes really far and you're gonna get like a lot of mileage out of it. All right, so I've quickly assembled my Tag Brad combo. We're just gonna glue some numbers on, and then we are just about done with this page. Okay, friends, so I have gone ahead and assembled all of my tags with my journaling. So here is how they work. So you swivel them up and then you can see all the words I wrote. Like I said, I just made a list of the things that I was celebrating about this occasion. And now it's just time to embellish it. So I'm thinking that I want to put one of these celebrate banners. So I picked this one that said celebrating today. One, because I liked the sentiment. Two, because I liked the color. I liked how dark it was with all the colors everywhere else. And I think the only thing I might do is staple on a few of these plastic stars. So I'm just gonna kind of scatter a few of these plastic stars and see where they feel good. Because that's all about, that's my thing, is do things feel good? Where do they feel good? And that's how I decide where to put them. So I have, the Celebrate Story Kit was easily one of my, I don't know how true that is, because I say all the story kits are my favorite, but Celebrate was, you guys, Celebrate was really good. I really enjoyed Celebrate. I've used it a lot. I used it to document engagement photos. I used it in a memory planning spread. I'm using it here. I'm probably gonna get like at least one more pinning story out of it, because I have this big wood veneer piece celebrating this story. So I still have a bunch to use in this kit. So yeah, so I still have a lot to use. So I'm just gonna go in and quickly staple these stars. If my tiny attacher will reach, oh, my tiny attacher will not reach that far. Okay, so I'm gonna figure out where I can put this star that my tiny attacher will actually reach. It'll reach right here. So I'm just gonna quickly staple these down. When it comes to like acetate and things like that, stapling is my favorite way of attaching them. Just because they're clear and I don't want to worry about adhesive showing through the star. Like, I feel like you lose some of the joy of having something that's transparent when you have like adhesive showing through it. So stapling is my favorite way of attaching stuff like this. So I just layered 2 up there. And I have 1 more down there. And you guys know I do things in 3s. That is just, that's not even something I do. That's something that a lot of makers do, but it's my go-to. And so I think the hardest part is going to be figuring out exactly where to put this and then cutting it in half. Okay, so we're just gonna go for it, because if I keep second guessing it and like umming and ahhing, I will never do it. So we're just going to go for it. So let's cross our fingers, you guys. This is definitely an adventure we're going on. So we're gonna see. So I'm just using score tape because I put my ATG down on the floor. When I picked it up, the tape roll in it was broken. I will figure that out later, not when I'm doing this. So let's see. So I'm gonna even these out, kind of match the holes up. So my pages are not the exact same size, but I want to line the holes up. And, oh, this is scary. Okay, this is, guys, hold your breath. This is terrifying. All right, so that's where this is on this page. I'm gonna line the holes up, and all right, we're just going for it at this point. Progress, not perfection. Okay, actually, I think that's almost perfect. It's not, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Let's see. So I'm just gonna put this in my paper trimmer. That is not a good idea. I'm gonna cut this with my scissor because I don't think it will work in my paper trimmer. I'm gonna find my scissor. You guys, that actually worked out. That doesn't look terrible. Okay, I actually think I got it pretty close to down the middle. I don't know if it's perfect, but it is close enough that I can't tell that it's not. So I'm trying to decide if I want to do anything else, if I want to add any chipboard. Do I want to add chipboard? Do I want to? So here's the place. Here's where I go. Oh my God, am I doing too much? Should I just leave it alone? Because I still have these red stickers. This red would be too much red. I'm not going to do that. That would be too much color. You know what, you guys? I'm just going to leave it because I'm definitely heading into over-embellishing territory, and I don't want to lose the big picture or lose the rainbow numbers. But that's what I have for you today for Stamp Week Day 3 with the theme of numbers. I love how these big, colorful numbers worked out. I love having the journaling behind them. And I hope this inspired you to, 1, use big numbers in your spread, and 2, make something interactive. This is going to sit obviously outside of the page protector so I can flip through it. The tags are secured on perfectly so I'm not worried about them coming off, and I really like how this came out. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you're enjoying Stamp Week and what I've been sharing, and yeah, that's it. Oh, and hit the notification bell if you haven't already so you get notified every time I upload a video. And for real, that's all I have for you guys. So till next time, keep it crafty and have the best day, and I will see you around. Bye!